Friends and family, welcome back to the TA Certified Podcast. Like I promised, more political content, news content coming at you today with another episode. I got four. Let me see here. One, two. I got four segments I want to go through. Four different news reports and just kind of things that I'm I don't know, looking at from the world and noticing. And I thought, let's spew it here. Why not? Why not? Anyways, I hope everyone has had a great long weekend. We just got off of Labor Day weekend. It is Tuesday, September 5th, about 5:50 p.m. San Diego, we got blasted with tourists, with people trying to get some sun in. My fiance and I are local, so we understand what goes on around this time. So we got out on the trails real early. Hit the hiking trails about 8 a.m. And I have a funny story to start this off, folks. And I want to, if anyone in here wants to leave a comment on your opinion, I'd love to hear it. So let me tell you what happened at the summit of this hike that my fiance and I went on. So it's about a 1.2 miles straight up. I mean, it's no joke. It's straight uphill and it's kicking your ass the whole time, right? So we get to the top. Everyone's feeling good at the top. There's about five people there. That's what I'm telling you. We got out there early. So there's about five people there. And everyone's pretty quiet, pretty chill. Some people talking here. My fiance and I talking a little bit, but nothing crazy. And then, a group of about five people, four older women, one older man. They come up and they start hanging out at the summit too, enjoying their hard work, getting up to the top and chit chatting and shooting the shit a bit, right? So during this, when these folks were having fun, like high fiving and shit like that, it was a good hike. So one of the groups we were up there with, it was three ladies and this one man with a dog. They were all together. Um, and the man with the dog, I don't hear him too well, but he says something along the lines to the group that just got up there. Hey, keep it down. Everyone else is trying to chill, and you're kind of you've encroached our space, and you guys are just super loud. I mean, first of all, this is not your fucking home, random man with a dog. This is not your living room. If it's your living room, you set the rules. This is the top of a mountain. So I initially thought this guy must be a douchebag. You have the balls to tell a group of five to shut the fuck up, basically, because they're too loud at the top of a mountain outside where people go to be loud. The outdoors, I mean, that's part of it. I know some of these campers and hikers like to, everything's got to be real mellow and real quiet and be respect. Okay, I get that, but be respectful of us who might want to, be a little loud. Everyone, this is America. This is a free country. We can all hang and talk if we want. Anyways, moving on. So after he told this to the group, the man in the group then proceeds to take it a whole different level. He goes, first of all, am I not going to be quiet? We're going to be louder now. And then he proceeds to say, and what the fuck are you going to do about it, man? What are you going to do about it? You're going to come over here and you want to fight me? Because I'll do that. Well, we can fight right now. First of all, your first tell, when someone's that loud and is ready to go right then and there like that, that man has never fought in his life. He's never fought in his life. He doesn't understand the consequences of a fight when you don't know who the fuck is on the other side. Yeah, this guy might have been looking like a hippie with his dog and just kind of chill vibes, but maybe that guy's a fucking killer and we'll just put you in a headlock and take your ass out, right? So they go back and forth a little bit. And needless to say, no resolution comes of it. It's just a pure venting session on both sides. And I just walked down the hill thinking, a grown man in his 50s just try to fight a dude that couldn't be older than 28. Couldn't be older than 28 for sure. And then a 28-year-old thought that it was cool to just, lay the law of the land basically at the top of this random hill, at top of this hill, and says, keep it down. So I left there torn because the way the old man acted, I wanted to knock his ass out myself. Right. I wanted to knock. And what I was going with too is he doesn't understand the consequences. This is probably a dude, and I'm just basing off it from what I saw. And folks, if you saw him too, you might agree. Okay. dopier looking dude. He does the hike. He doesn't look super in shape. So obviously this is his one, stroll of the fucking week. And then he'll go back and eat Cheerios and sit on his ass when he gets back to wherever home is. And these type of dudes who type to pop off, get all loud and crazy, usually we're like the people who just were never heard during high school, during junior high. People just passed over them. And then finally, when they get to be an adult and they feel like I could pump my chest out a little bit, these fuckers go crazy. So I'm glad to see no fights occurred because A, we were on top of a hill, and B, then what? I'm the third man there. Everyone else was females. What am I supposed to then jump in and stop these two guys from fighting? No, not my job. Not my fucking job. Okay. I'm on my day off. I would walk the fuck away while I'm laughing. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But I want to know like who's in the wrong there because it's interesting. It's interesting. You can't tell someone to shut up, but also you don't just try and fight somebody. Why don't you be a grown man and say, hey, look, we're all out here trying to enjoy the outdoors. We just hit a great hike. Me and these ladies want to talk a little bit and feel the energy of just the outdoors. And we're not going to be, we'll be a little more sensitive to maybe your offer here or your request, but we're not going to be quiet. Okay. And I'd appreciate if you leave us alone a little bit too, right? Maybe something along the line that really sets a guy straight, but go right into a fight tells me, sir, you've never fought and you probably would have got your ass kicked. Okay, moving on. Moving on to segment one of today. I'm going with the Biden administration is starting to show cracks. I mean, many of you, maybe are already saying showing or starting to show. They've been showing cracks for a long time. Fair. But this time it seems to be the tide is changing even amongst media outlets that are usually liberal left leaning. But I'm going to start off here with a powerful, very powerful video that was sent to me. And also I follow this Instagram page. And if you don't, you should. Real news, no bullshit. And it is just that, folks. They'll give you a video clip and there's no opinion in it. It's just what's going on. So I appreciate them. And I found this video, and it's made its circulation, but I found I found what was more of a full encompassing of what this man and what was going on had to say. So a little backstory. We all know the Afghanistan pullout was a shit show. Anyone who says it wasn't doesn't understand geopolitics, doesn't understand how to safely get a group of people, team out of a hostile situation. So it was a complete mess. And now families of some of the people who we lost during that are coming out to talk, which they should. And one of them is this man right here, Mark Schmitz. Mark Schmitz, gold standard dad to a son who passed during this unfortunate event. And here's a little clip of just what he had to say about where he is, emotionally and kind of how he feels about the administration. So let's go and check it out.
Happened the next day. My someone's gone forever. Fortunately, I was able to tell him I loved him one last time. Jared would have made a wonderful husband, a father. He wanted to go into law enforcement after the Marine Corps, but changed his mind after seeing how our police have been being treated the first year of Biden's administration. He had mentioned taking over the family business someday, and that couldn't have made me happier. All these things have been stripped from us now, and none of them will happen. He will never have the sunshine on his face again. He will never have the chance to get married. He will never experience the joy of being a father, and he would have been one hell of a dad. We will never meet our grandkids. Our family name died that day. Two years has gone by, and where are we? To be frank, we're knee-deep in bullshit is where we are. Everyone who held a key position in the military still has that position or has been promoted. John Kirby still sits on his perch, which apparently faces the opposite direction from where all the action was. Blinken continues to delay key evidence by ignoring delaying subpoenas. Not a single general slapped down their stars, which should have happened 2 years ago when Biden ignored his reliable intelligence. Not a single person has been held accountable. Our so-called leader can't seem to even utter their names in public, not even once. Mr. Biden has run his entire political campaign for 50 years as the family man. Well, I've got news for you, sir. The curtain has been lifting, and that campaign slogan will never work again. We have seen what's going on in your family, and even worse, we've seen how you've been treating us as Gold Star families. And there couldn't be anything more disgusting and cowardly than the way you have treated us. You are a disgrace to this nation. You have no business having ultimate command over our military, and I regret not saying that to your face when I had the opportunity in Dover.
Okay, so it goes on, but that initial part about his son, about his legacy, about that being his only son, never seeing him get married, never seeing him become a father, that stuff really messes with me because one thing I am super proud of as a 29-year-old man is my relationship with my father. And what I would do for him there's no words. So to see a father have to bury his son, first of all, should never happen. And then for it to be in terms of political reasons, even when, like he says there, he ignored really good information from people who were on the ground, from people who were more involved in everything that was going on at the time. And just because he wanted to show, his supporters that he would get us out of war, and no matter what, we're just going for it, instead of concocting a plan that really made sense from nuts to bolt. Because when you get things that are half-assed, like a lot of things in our government is, not just with this president, but with many, many, many before him, and if we don't change things around here in America and how we vote and how we keep people accountable, this will continue to be a half-assed run country, right? And even though we're still the best, there's a lot of work we should be able to still do, or we can still do, and we should do. Getting back though, say what you will, but this Afghanistan pullout was a mess. And like I stated earlier, but my thing is here of going off of what he was saying about his son is not only were real people affected, obviously, but generations to come will be affected. And it might not be obvious, and it never usually is, but it's an underlying shift in the way this family now goes about life. It's an underlying shift on how maybe folks like us look at the military, look at decisions made by politics and policy leaders. Um, this is going to be felt for much longer and by more people than just Mark Schmitz and his family. Because when you speak with that much power and that much authority to Congress about our sitting president, because this is a free country and we can say what we want about a president who's not doing his job, and at least that case still hasn't really made amends, obviously, for what had happened. So what's going on here? Where's the accountability from the Biden administration? Why haven't we had a big press conference where he comes out, Biden I'm speaking about, comes out and lays down what went wrong, what he thinks went right, and what the things that went wrong could have been changed and how they could have been changed, and take ownership? But that is not how our politics work in America. The guy at the helm always wants to be seen as a strong leader who the decisions made, I'm not going back, I'm not saying sorry. Not like that is the ethos of American culture, at least politically, is you make a power move and you stand by it no matter what the outcome is. Well, sirs, ma'ams, all people in our American politics, let's drop the bullshit, because it's not usually not your son or daughter, going out there and fighting for this war. It's usually not your son or daughter who's coming home mangled and on the street and homeless and looking for any sort of fucking help from the countless just time, effort, sacrifice that was given for whatever war, whatever cause that the United States government used these people for. Correct. So my thing is we as Americans, we need leaders who speak the truth even when it is uncomfortable. Because what is the world if everything is infantilized and we're told it's for the better good that you don't know, or we know better, in the sense of like, we'll tell you the things you need to know. You use our tax dollars, you take our money from hard working days that we put in to help this country get better, because that's what you say you use our money for, right? And this and we so what I'm saying is we deserve some sort of reckoning. We deserve you guys to come out in the front and talk about what went wrong, what went right, how we can make things better. We need a full breakdown of what had happened. We still haven't got it. We will never get it because there's not enough pressure from the people. Because you can have a couple Gold Star families, like you said, couple Gold Star families come out, do what he did there. But unless there is a full blown movement of individuals who have no stake in the game but care about their fellow American who just lost their fucking son because of something that could have been avoided, okay? Until there's more of us that come forward and demand some sort of shift, this is going to continue to happen. Continue to happen to the point where your son or daughter, if you're listening, your son or daughter may go, you know what I want to do, mom, dad? You know what I want to do? I want to go and I want to fight for the greatest country in the world. I want to give a piece of myself to this country, so when I die, I'm known that I'll be known as someone who gave back, right? And that's all good and well, but when they don't live a full and true life because of things that could have been avoided, or a Afghanistan pullout that was trying to be more of a look, I'm gonna get us out of there. Well, previous administration said it, and I'm actually going to do it. Right? That was the whole headspace here for the Biden administration. And who knows if that would have been any different with Trump? I can't sit here and say it would, but I feel like it would have been. I don't know though. This is just me talking. So until we push for honesty, truth, transparency, for accountability, for public accountability, none of this closed door bullshit, we as Americans will continue to be left in the dark, to be the last one on the fucking on the community call, be the last one ringed in, and the last one to know. And that is not right when we're the first people to give our hard earned money for families who don't even have enough to give. They take the taxes because we're making a better roads for system. We're making schools. And look at what that's gotten. Well, really, what has that gone? I mean, if you're sitting here, you're a normal medium income American who's barely scraping by, and you're seeing, if you're in California, 20, 30, all these percent of taxes getting taken from you. And then you see the homeless crisis going on. You see how expensive everything is. You see what happened during COVID with the California governor say you can't do this or that, but then he's out there doing the same things he said you couldn't do. We deserve better. And I shouldn't be the one sitting here making the point. This should be coming from the top of the top for people who give a fuck about this country, right? They cared so much that they went into public policy, and they want to be a governor, a senator, whatever. Where are you? Where are you? No, like where is our people who are in there fighting for us? Is there a one? And if there is, I'd like to see it. I really like to see it because there's always special interest. There's always some underhand deal. Why can't we have one politician be who she says they are at the beginning of their campaign and through it? And if we find out that they're not, we should be able to get them out. So I started this with saying that there are, left leaning, which is, it's Democratic run government right now. And you have your media mouthpieces, for lack of a better term, and MSNBC, CNN, to name a few, that really, really just back anything that the Biden administration does and just claims it to be just the best. And we are seeing a little bit of a turn here. I have a video of what they call her KGP or KJP. She is the White House correspondent, in the sense that she comes up, takes the questions from all the reporters, and kind of speaks for the president in a formal fashion, but in a roundabout way. And this is her being pressed by Jake Tapper on CNN, just about, you'll see, but it's about like just Biden's viability as a 80-plus-year-old man. So let's check this one out. Here we go.
Back when we were marking the 1 year anniversary, right, of the war in Ukraine, the unprovoked war by Russia, what did the president do? He went to Kyiv, and he was there with the alarms blaring in the back. And people were so impressed that he was able to be there and look strong and represent the American people in Kyiv, in a war zone country. And that's what you saw.
I'm not
right?
saying he's not able to walk.
But you're talking about his strength, right? You're talking about how he's looking right now.
He's 80.
That is,
I think like the average American male only lives to be 77 or something.
But here's the thing, Jake. People saw him and were impressed that he was able to do that he was able to be there and present the American people. Look, the president says this all the time. Watch him, right? Watch him. And they
are watching him. That's what I'm saying. That's the 77% who are concerned.
No. Back when we were
okay, so you can see the big shining, I don't know, thing that she really wanted to spotlight is that people were impressed that he could fly his ass down to the war-torn country that they're taking again on. I am going to bash tax dollar. They're stealing our money. I'm going to keep bashing this until it changes. Really, they are sending our tax dollars that none of us got to vote on. I understand the war in Ukraine is unjust. Russia shouldn't have done that, even if provoked in all sorts. And if you get into the nitty gritty of geopolitics, NATO, red lines with Russia, you knew that as we continue to push toward further and further backing Ukraine and some of these other nations, that Russia, wasn't their only option. I'm not saying this was their only option. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, you push someone so far and you get a reaction you didn't expect. Well, that is nothing really that you can do there, in the sense that you can only, why are we pushing in the first place? If you're making the aggression to push, you should be able to understand whatever comes of it. And am I saying this is okay? No, because if this happened to us in the United States and Russia, we'd all be out on our bully pulpits talking terrible about Russia, wanting aid from our people in the Europe and in South, and all the relationships that we have. But we have given more to Ukraine than anybody by far. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this is the same country that was riddled with corruption scandals prior to the war, and riddled with corruption scandals involving one Hunter Biden as well. Look, if you don't think that this has anything to do with the amount of money, has anything to do with some of the things that went on in the back house deals that went on that are proven, to have gone on, you're kidding yourself. But my main point in showing that clip was, look at CNN, okay? Joe Rogan really exposed them during COVID as being liars and being manipulative to better their donors, which at the time was the pharmaceutical industry, Pfizer, Moderna, whatever it was. But in this one, it is, they're out there and he's pushing why is Biden's compromised, obviously. So why should us as American people kind of like trust that what's going on? And she does, well, people thought it was a show of strength with the sirens blaring. She gets a little smirk on his face, like it's supposed to be some historic thing that he went to Kyiv with the sirens blaring. You think anything was going to happen to him? Really? Come on. This is the American president. If he would have got gunned down, bombed on, whatever it was, well, he landed in Ukraine, Russia knew they would have been blown to shit within a week. Putin's been in the game of politics for a long fucking time. He understands the strength of the United States Army. He knows the ignorance of the United States government, that we're the bullies on the block. We really are. And if you don't know that yet, you just haven't been paying attention enough. Look at Syria, look at Yemen, how we're arming rebels to fight this cause, and then we're out here, in the colleges and all this thing going, free Palestine, free, and for all these things for Yemen. And it's like, do you not know that we're kind of helping? So I digress there. The Biden administration is showing severe cracks. CNN's starting to smell it, which for us is huge because we want the same from Fox News and all the Republican outlets when we have a Republican in office and he's fucking up, like Donald Trump. We should have had more from you, Fox News. We should have more from you pressing him. Tucker, we should have more from you pressing him. These people, you need to stand the fuck up. You know what's right and you know what's wrong. You guys are way too smart. Okay. If I know it, motherfucker, you know it. Okay. So moving on, I brought up COVID a bit in my rant there and just Gavin Newsom and some of those things. But one thing that it seems to stay. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere. It's the office vacancies of many industries, many companies, many just jobs in general. And I have a graph to show you from Axios as U.S. office vacancy hits an all-time high. 12.9%. I want to do some math with you guys. I'm not great at math, but I made sure to get my numbers right here so I didn't look dumb. So let me start. There's about 332 million people in the United States. And if the US office vacancy is about 12.9%, you're looking at roughly 42 million people who quote unquote work from home, right? Work from home and are not using offices. That is an insane route. And if you look, insane rate. And if you look at 2020, where we were, it looks like between 9 and 10. So you're looking at about 8%, and it's grown almost 5% to 12.9, kicking that 13. It wants 13. And then in some areas like San Francisco, I saw Houston, I'm sure those numbers are much, much higher. So it's interesting to see the looming repercussions of COVID policies and what that is doing to corporate buildings, right? So that's commercial real estate. All the people who invested in commercial real estate prior to COVID has lost their ass. 100%. I mean, look at that graph. And it's odd that I wanted to figure out, and maybe I'll do another segment on this. Looks like 2008 and 9 is when another huge work from home spike happened. That's about when the economy crashed with the 2008 housing bubble. So it could have been again these commercial real estate holders who lost their shit then too, and then had to just send people home to work from home, and basically leaned on people's own Wi-Fi, leans on people's own amenities at home to take care of them. And I've worked from home, and I did through the pandemic, so I understood the benefits of working from home. 100%. You have your own vibe, you have your own setup. Really, you have, I really used that time to get all my workouts done because I knew I wouldn't have to then get dressed, drive to my office and yada yada. So I understand it, but also these people are working us still the same, if not more, because a lot of folks, I've seen some stats that people feel more work than ever because their computer is just right there instead of back at the office. So when they're turning off, it's not turning off. They really have to do a whole shutdown routine. And I do a shutdown routine still because I'm part of one of these companies that continues to allow us to work from home. And some of the straight up discrimination that was going on during COVID and during some of that with unvaccinated people and people with natural immunity. Maybe a lot of those people feel, like a big, I don't know, fuck you, right? Like, I'm not coming back to the office, even if I don't care how much free lunch you give me. I don't care if you give me cold brew. I don't care if you have beer on tap. I'm going to stay at home. Maybe I'm a better mother now that I'm at home. Maybe I'm a better father now, husband, wife. Maybe I'm getting more time with my friends. Maybe now my workout routine is just dialed in. Because folks, when you're dead and gone, they're not going to take a look at all the hours you spend at work and was like, that fucking guy or gal was a straight up was a stud. No, they're gonna look at your well-rounded life. Were you good to people? Were you a good friend? Were you there when your buddy needed you? Were you there when your kid needed you? Did you go to juniors basketball games? Or did you go to his foot? Those are the things that will last a lifetime and will continue to live on even past you being gone, right? So let's not get caught up in the minutia of this bullshit corporate office lifestyle that has all these free goodies to get you to sit there and just continue to blast away. Which, if you want to get out of the house, I understand it, go do your thing. But I think there's a lot of benefit in what's going on, in the sense of, if you're a good worker, you're a good worker. It doesn't matter if you're at home or if you're over there or if you're in the office. And if they want to do all sorts of data to check you on you, if you're a good worker, that shouldn't fucking matter. The people who are bad workers, who are trying to hide themselves, love this even more. So I see both sides. As a business owner, I would want those folks to get the fuck in the office so I can have my eye on them. We can have my team's eye on them, all those good things. But if you're a good worker, you're a good worker. And you should be able to prove that no matter what. Or else you're just not, you're a fraud. So there's another interesting article along the lines of what's happening. So what's happening, right? What's happening with these vacancies? What's going on? How are they being filled? So here's one from Washington Post. The headline reads, "Breweries farm spas to fill empty offices. Downtowns get creative." There was one portion I had lined up here that I want to read. Here goes. "Cities big and small, including nearby DC and Alexandria, Virginia, have sought to address this looming crisis by trying to turn vacant office towers into apartment buildings." Duh. It's a buzzy idea that has drawn broad support as a way to reinvent downtowns while tackling a housing crunch too. Right now they're saying, we have big homeless issues, we have people with affordability issues. Maybe we can make more housing cheaper and get people off the street, or get people who are suffering, a place to stay. Article goes on, but that may be easier said than done, with many newer office towers lacking the sunlight or plumbing to easily carve the space into apartments. Makes sense. If that's the case, then Chan's Byland Spring Spa, which, if I go up here, I'll show you, this lady has turned one of these vacant office buildings into a spa. Smart thinking, lady. Keep it up. Chan's Byland Spring Spa and a handful of products like it are sprouting up in the country. It offers one alternative that is being increasingly explored by real estate brokers and local offices. Why not turn empty offices into, well, basically anything? So people, again, capitalism is interesting, folks. If you are creative enough, if you see a spot where you can jump into the game, where maybe commercial real estate right now is so cheap, and now it makes sense for you to open that spa, that brewery, that whatever, that coffee shop, right? That now I can afford this. Now I can go and start it, right? So times like these are where people who take big jumps and big leaps can get big rewards. It just takes some balls and some effort. So I just think we're going to see this trend continue to rise. I think over the next year, especially with them seeing COVID's coming back, folks. Come on, I'll do another report on this in the next coming days. Don't fall for it. Don't do it. Don't do what they already did this to us, and you saw what changed. Okay. Anyways, as COVID ramped itself back up, and then the Biden administration, the first lady just got COVID again. They're still testing for it. They're still trying to milk that udder of COVID until it is absolutely gone. And as they continue to do that, workers they'll have more leverage to stay home, to not come into the office. And then maybe if they were in office after, a couple of years of being out, now they can come back again. And these business owners are going to have to play ball. They're going to have to play ball. Okay, moving on to segment 3, folks. Segment 3 is one that is also near and dear to my heart. And it is East Palestine, Ohio. Do y'all remember East Palestine, Ohio? If you haven't by now, it makes sense because the news cycle moves hell of fast. And this is one that the Biden administration wanted to go away quickly, quietly, and without people like me talking about it again. But here I am. Okay, I'm not going to go away. And I'm going to start this off with a video here of Biden taking a question about his lack of presence in East Palestine, Ohio. because he said he'd go and has not happened yet. So let's check this one out. Here we go.
You said in March that you would go to East Palestine, Ohio. You came here. How come you haven't gone to East Palestine yet?
Well, I haven't had the occasion to go to East Palestine. There's a lot going on here, and I just haven't been able to break. I was thinking whether I'd go to East Palestine this week, but I then was reminded I've got to go literally around the world. I'm going from Washington to India to Vietnam, and so it's going to be a while. But we're making sure that East Palestine has what they need materially in order to deal with the problem.
Okay, so quick facts, and then I'll give my opinion. February 3rd, a train carrying toxic chemicals derailed in a town called East Palestine, Ohio, a suburb of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The derailment was sparked a fire which covered the town in toxic fumes, basically. Initial report from the NTSB states basically a wheel bearing heated up past the point to where it should have been, and that loosened, fell off, and then derailment happened. And they have alarm systems in place, but guess what? Alarm didn't go off. Of course, it didn't go off. So there's also been a lot of videos. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, Facebook, I'm sure you've come across them of, reports of contaminated water, some people throwing rocks in still water and seeing just a layer of thick, what looks like oil. Not good. Dead wildlife. I think I saw a number about 3,500 fish in the area died, which is just odd. And what I think this has, what has the sign of is this place is small. East Palestine, Ohio is a small town. I have written down here, it's a population of about 5,000 people, right? And it's a suburb of Pennsylvania. So when you're not, unfortunately, when you're not a big city, when you're not a big, you're not making, your people there aren't big movers and shakers in terms of maybe donors, maybe for whatever parties in power. Maybe they don't have big things coming out of that little area, but again, these are humans. These are Americans who are working, who are also paying taxes, who are also giving part of this invisible hand that makes the American economy go around. So they shouldn't be dismissed. But this place is small, and it makes sense that Biden, since March, how much more money has he given to Ukraine? How many speeches or how many times has he talked about Ukraine? He already went to Maui. I'm not comparing the two, but look at that. Already went to Maui. He was already in Jacksonville, it looks like, or some part of Florida where the big hurricane hit. So he knows where a lot of animosity and hate will get publicity and will show him to not be the leader that we want, which he's not right now. Blatantly, he's not. So he knows that he went to Maui right away, even though right after the Maui fires, he announced another aid package to Ukraine and then came to Maui. But he got there, right? And then another one. Here comes a hurricane. He got there right away. So and since then, he's gone to Lake Tahoe a couple times for a vacation. And yeah, sure, the man needs a vacation. I get that. But don't say a lot of shit's been going on when this is one of the worst toxic fume spills that we've ever had in our country. There's people who I have written down here. An independent university research team found that 80% of people surveyed in the residents suffer from new symptoms, whether that be cough, headache, nausea, some sort of issue that they didn't have prior has now popped up and has become an issue. And then it shows 40% of people surveyed have some sort of PTSD. So what? So what then, right? So what's going on? Why can't we have a leader who goes to all the places that are in need and all these are coal mining towns. These are places where hardworking blue collar Americans go there. They work, they have small, the housing prices have just probably plummeted since then. I should check that out to make sure I'm right on that. But what I'm saying is he can get to where he wants to go at any time. Like you said, I have to be in India. I have to be over here. I'm going literally across the world. Well, why can't you take your private fucking jet, even though, climate change is the biggest issue The biggest issue there is, you're going to take your private jet to this place where that ruined the skies of East Palestine. Again, a climate issue, right? And you're not going to come there and give a stump speech. This is the perfect time to show you care about the little guy, that you care about climate change. If that's your big point as your Democratic, if you're a Democrat, you believe that climate change is like the biggest thing that's going on right now. That our kids won't even get to see their high school graduation, which debatable, okay, debatable. But I'm not getting into that right now. What I'm saying is, this was your chance, Biden, to not show that you're just some politician thug that comes in and says what he needs to say. Back in the 80s and 90s, he was calling black people calling them predators. And now he's saying that they're one of the biggest reasons why we need to help. So things can change as you get older, but this is your chance. This is your chance to show you care for the little people, not when it's just culturally cool, not when it's just Instagram cool, not when it's just, no. When it's a small town of 5,000 people who won't be able to make a big fuss, who won't be able to make a big issue on the national news stage, but you still just won't get there. You still won't get there, and it's going to be a while since still. It's September 5th, and he's still not made it. So I'm gonna go on and say, like, he probably goes on vacation again before he goes there. The news cycle moves so fast that this government knew what was going on. They knew that they just had to let it sit out for a little bit longer, and that they would be, just in the clear. And what are they? They're in the clear. But if I can have any say in it, no. Okay, that's national news. I'm gonna move on to San Diego specific news. If you're in San Diego, give me a holler. I found one article that interests me as a real estate agent, and just a person who, wants to buy a home one day. Fuck, I don't know. Shouldn't we all kind of want that as Americans? That's the best way to build your wealth out here. That's what I've been told for so long. So this article, its headline is San Diego's share of $1 million homes is high, but is slipping. Share of houses worth $1 million or more by select metro area, and it shows different ones, but it goes nearly 40% of homes are worth at least $1 million in San Diego, which is down from the 43% a year ago per Redfin. The city ranks 5th in the country for its share of houses with that price tag. First of all, almost half of the houses in San Diego are worth $1 million. That is insane. That is insane. I know San Diego is beautiful. I know California has the sun tax, but you're telling me almost 1 in 2. If I take I go and I just point at 1 in 2, it's a good possibility that it's worth $1 million, if not creeping towards it. And as a real estate agent, I can tell you in places like City Heights, right, where compare that. Let's use an easier word for me here. Compare that to La Jolla, where you can point and you got multiple houses at $1 million or more. Even City Heights is seeing stuff in the 800,000s, the 700,000 range. I went to a place near Barrio Logan whose lot was big, but the house was straight up 700 square feet, going for $850,000. $850,000. There's El Cajon. There's La Mesa that have become so expensive. I have a couple's friend that they just moved to Levin Grove and bought a condo, and they still paid, I think, over $500,000, about $500,000. So this is squeezing regular Americans. I don't even know if regular Americans even live in San Diego anymore if they don't have a roommate. Like, seriously, this is a serious problem in San Diego. Not only San Diego, but California-wide, but specifically we're talking San Diego. The haves and have-nots is so apparent out here in San Diego. You go to, I'm going to say it again. You go to La Jolla, you can see within seconds the difference between that and the City Heights. I'm just comparing the two. And I've been around both multiple times. So, in a capitalist society that we live in, if people have the money and they're willing to pay, then you're going to get homes that creep up all the way up to $1 million, all the way up to $2 million, $3 million, whatever it may be. If you have people willing to pay the price, then I guess the juice is worth the squeeze. That's what it's saying. Capitalism tells you are what people are worth paying for you for, right? Maybe not as humans, we have more going on, fluffy stuff inside and all that, but a product, a commodity, a house, or what? If someone's willing to pay $1.2 million for some fucking, house that's not in La Jolla, or a house that is in Pacific Beach, in Golden Hill, in South Park, in North Park, and you might not have the most room, but you're in a cool area, and you got walkable stuff around you. It's going to continue to happen this way, and it won't come down. So, if we can see interest rates are continuing to rise, which means people are staying in their homes and they're not selling as much. The inventory really is there for people in their second and third home who are trying to Airbnb it and now are realizing like they are not getting the return on their investment necessarily. So that, I think, is where a lot of this openings are coming from. But people who like bought 3 years ago and had 1 or 2% and have been sitting on that, why would they sell? Right. So I'm hoping that as they continue to raise interest rates and people continue not to move, and they really have just a couple auxiliary homes that they're trying to sell and stuff like that, that the price of it being 40%, I hope that starts to come down even more. I'm not saying that I want people to lose wealth. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if we want to have a place that is truly a beacon of, it says America's greatest city, right? Right now, I wouldn't say that. I said the things around here are awesome, but you have people working like dogs because we have half of our home inventory being worth $1 million or more. So it's a sad state of affairs, but it's also just how the American economy works. And we have to realize, like, without capitalism, we have what? Socialism. And then you can't ever better yourself. I live in this country, live in this time and where I'm still so hopeful because I know I can grind for whatever it takes to then possibly get to where I'm making money for my family, that then maybe my wife doesn't have to work. My kids don't have to worry about a lot of things like that, right? This is why we live in these countries, so we can fight for those things, and we continue to build, create generational wealth, help people around you, right? That is what we're out here for. In this socialism, this whole democratic socialist stuff, I saw a democratic socialist sign from UCSD, the people who are going to a school that's probably worth $50,000, $60,000 a year, talking about socialism when their parents are probably paying for it, who had to buy into the capitalist society to even get those kids there. I digress. But then socialism caps everybody. Everybody's capped. Everybody gets just what, the leader of this socialistic society says is okay. And if you have somebody telling you what they think is okay in terms of what you can make and what you can do, hours you can work, wages you can get, you don't live in a free society. You don't live in somewhere where you can continue to build and grow. You live in somewhere where you are just another person, another piece, another number, and you can't get upset. There's no tall poppy syndrome around here. No, there's nothing. You'll never get big enough, and we'll make sure of it. So, as much as I do love hearing that the price of homes is coming down, we got to be wary, folks, of loving it too much to where we go, yeah, we should all be able to afford this. Well, some people just don't want to get the fuck up in the morning and work. And some people want to get up at 5 a.m. and get their shit done and work all day. And those two people should be able to reap the benefits or the negative outcomes that comes with their choices and their decisions. That's how life works, and that's how it should work, and that's how I'll continue to support it to work, because if we have it in a way where people are giving breadcrumbs just enough for each of us, none of us will ever get anywhere, and we'll end up in a place going, how did this ever happen? And now, by that point, we're too far down the line, and we have people just telling us how to run our life. Anyways, folks, this has been the TA Certified Podcast. I'm coming back next week with some more shit, because this has been 2 for 2 now, where I enjoy really trying to dig into the meat of some of these stories. So I appreciate you for listening. If you are listening, if you're please comment on stuff, subscribe to my YouTube, like all the things, get involved, folks. I love it. I want to talk. I want to hear your points of view. So I appreciate you. Everybody have a great day. And until next time, peace.